Is it only Christians that are influenced? Is it only you? You are scared that, oh, if you will be, you know the influence person. Christians know the influence person. Growing, churches are growing, the number of Christians are growing, churches are getting filled, but the world is constantly looking like there are no Christians. We have now slowly withdrawn from using the rainbow as Christians. Why? Because a certain group now identifies with it as their label. Oh, there are extremist feminists, people that believe in this and that and that. There are some certain unchristian ideologies under feminism. Is that enough reason why a Christian should not be a feminist? Rather, isn't that why a Christian should be a feminist, to bring about Christian ideologies and draw the fine line? There's something that has been on my mind, and it's been pressing in my heart lately to share it. And it is the fact that many Christians have this attitude of quickly excluding themselves from things that pertain to the world. Many Christians have this overly sanctimonious attitude that even Jesus Christ did not have. Christians who are too afraid to associate with people and things and groups. Christians who are too quick to spiritualize and demonize things. Christians who are too quick to ostracize themselves from spaces that would engender practical change. Christians who are too quick to judge and to condemn without lifting a finger to create meaningful solution. I'm speaking about Christians who believe that Christians should not listen to Afrobeats, for example. But why don't you make a gospel Afrobeat song? Christians who will say that, oh, Christians should not be going to the gym because the gym is like a cult, the gym is addictive, the gym is an indecent place, the gym can lead you to sin. But you have not created your own Christian gym. Now there are people, Christians specifically, who have made it their life purpose to ensure that feminism as an advocacy for women should be cancelled, because according to them, there are certain ideologies under feminism that seem to be extreme and unchristian. And I agree. But what I do not agree with is the totally cancelling the advocacy of feminism because of certain ideologies. So instead of cancelling it, why don't you infiltrate and dominate it? And don't tell me that being a Christian alone solves all the problems, because it doesn't. Christian women have been abused, beaten, and even lost their lives in domestically abusive marriages over the years. We have also seen within the church how parts of the Bible have been misinterpreted and used to subdue and oppress women. Yet, the church continues to tell them to pray and to submit to their abuser. And now there came feminism and advocacy for women, and there are some Christians saying that feminism is evil. Now think about it. If Christianity was practiced ideally, where women were not oppressed using religion, then there'll be no need for feminism, right? Because then everyone will be treated equally as a true child of God. But that has not been the case. That has not been the case at all. And that's why women started to speak up and to advocate through feminism. So you want to completely destroy that shelter that shields women from getting maltreated by cultures, traditions, policies, and even religion. But you're providing no other shelter, no other roof for women to run under. And that's why I believe that this attitude of being such a soft Christian, a soft, fearful, conforming Christian who doesn't seek justice or question norms and cultures and traditions is unchristian, because Christ did the opposite. Christ shook tables. Jesus Christ was disruptive while introducing a new way of life. And there are multiple examples in the Bible that I can share of Jesus Christ being disruptive. Jesus drove out the merchants and money changers in the Bible. Jesus healed on Sabbath day. Jesus was eating and chilling with tax collectors and sinners. Jesus openly called out religious leaders. He called them hypocrites because that's who they were. They would put burdens on people, but they would do nothing to lift it. They would make rules and laws that they themselves did not keep. They were clearly hypocrites, and Jesus Christ called them out. Jesus Christ was the biggest non-conformist that I know. Jesus, he questioned norms, he sought justice, he changed how things were done. He did not come to play, did not come to do soft rulership or soft leadership, right? And so that's why I think this overly sanctimonious mindset, overly sanctimonious attitude of Christians quickly pulling away from spaces is the reason why the devil keeps hijacking things and spaces that Christians should occupy. We have now slowly withdrawn from using the rainbow as Christians. Why? Because a certain group now identifies with it as their label. So if a certain group wakes up tomorrow and say they want to use the cross as their emblem, then Christians will no longer use it. The cross that Jesus Christ died on. So you see, it makes no sense, right? Why are we so quick to chicken out? Why is our first line of thought withdrawing and just removing ourselves and saying, no, let's not go there, or it's not for Christians? So where should Christians be? How do we make the change? How do we occupy till he comes? How do we make the change? How do we question? How do we show our Christianity when we are very quick to chicken out? How do we make change? Oh, there are bad people in politics, so politics is dirty. But isn't that why Christians should be in those spaces, to transform those spaces and bring about Christian leadership? Oh, there are extremist feminists, people that believe in this and that and that. There are some certain unchristian ideologies under feminism. Is that enough reason why a Christian should not be a feminist? Rather, isn't that why a Christian should be a feminist, to bring about Christian ideologies and draw the fine line? Especially as feminism at its core does not advocate anything else but gender equity, fairness, and rights for women. So instead of trying to pull it down, why not occupy and reclaim it? The same way we should be reclaiming the rainbow sign as ours, because it is ours. It is a sign and a covenant between God and man. Instead of allowing a certain group to use it, now we are saying, no, Christians should not use the rainbow. Even me, I could not even wear a rainbow socks in Brighton, because that is, their headquarters and stuff like that. Why are we so quick to chicken out? Why is our attitude, our collective attitude and reasoning to remove ourselves where we should be claiming and occupying those spaces and hijacking it? Speaking about hijacking, we did that with Christmas. We did that with the 25th of December, because that 25th of December is said to be a pagan feast day. Until this day, there are some group of Christians who don't even celebrate Christmas because the 25th of December is considered a pagan feast day. However, there are millions of other Christians who collectively agreed to celebrate the birth of Christ on that day. That is exactly what we should be doing, occupying and hijacking and proclaiming Christ as King in spaces, offices, boardrooms, politics, leadership, gender, feminism, inclusive. Because as women are not less than. When the Bible says nations will come to the brightness of your shining, it did not say it's not for men alone. But over the years, women have been told, even using the Bible, using religion, using different tools by preachers, by pastors, women have been told that they are less than, that they're they are almost like lower children of God. But no, we are co-heirs in the kingdom, right? We are co-heirs to the kingdom. So that is essentially the goal of feminism, to tell women who they are, to remind women, Christian feminists, for us to remind ourselves as women and other women that we matter, that we are not less than, that we are the apple of God's eyes, that God does not see us any less than he sees men. The way culture, traditions, laws, policies have positioned us less than. Kings, nations will come to the brightness of your shining. It is not for one gender alone, right? And that is what you should do as a Christian feminist. It is not for you to chicken out and leave those spaces for those. That's why those extreme ideologies exist. That's why those extreme ideologies are taking charge and taking spaces. And then you now come out and say Christians should not be there. What are you doing as a Christian? What are you doing as a Christian woman? Okay, you are counseling feminism. Yes. As a Christian woman, what are you doing? How can women seek solace? Women who have been raped, abused by the church, by pastors, where do they go to? How do you support them with your voice, with your platform, right? Because it is one thing to tear something down, and it's another thing to be a helping hand, to provide a structure, a space where that thing you're tearing down can occupy and seek solace and help. So as we did with Christmas, instead of allowing that 25th of December to be devoted to an idol, to a pagan god, Christians collectively decided to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ on that day. And that's how we should move. reclaiming and occupying till he comes, not chickening out. Oh, J.K. Rowling has left feminism because of what it has become. In the same way, many people have left Christianity because of the atrocities and the flawed interpretation, the atrocities committed under Christianity. Pastors who have raped women, authorities that should be protecting women, abusing women. But we are still Christians. We are still here. We are still, because our rock is Christ. Right? So it is not, we are not limited by the flawness of human being, by the flaws of humans. Yes, pastors can be flawed, or people, even custodians of the word, can be flawed. But that doesn't mean that we should now start canceling Christianity. And in the same vein, feminism at its core advocates gender equity, fairness for women, including Christian women who are being subdued and oppressed. That is what it stands for. So as a Christian, you can also be a feminist. You can bring that advocacy and support Christian women as well. Irrespective of the atrocities and bad examples that we have in Christianity, pastors and this and that, we still have good Christians who still stand out, who still, are examples of the faith. So in the same way, there are extreme ideologies and people who have hijacked and turned feminism into something else. But that does not mean that the advocacy itself for fairness and equity for women is bad. And that does not mean that you cannot be a Christian and a feminist. You can be a Christian and a feminist. How long are we going to continue chickening out? How long are we going to continue hiding and removing ourselves? I remember the parable in the Bible that Jesus told of, the parable of the talents, where the master told his servants to occupy till I come, which means take possession of the territory. How do you take possession of a territory that you are afraid of, where you are very quick to chicken out of spaces that you should occupy? And I think that this particular attitude of Christians withdrawing from things is why the churches are growing, the number of Christians are growing, churches are getting filled, but the world is constantly looking like there are no Christians. Because where Christians should be practicing their Christianity, they are hiding it. Christians have decided to remain in the church and not come out to sing music, to take spaces in the boardroom, in leadership, in politics, because they are so scared of mixing up. Is it only Christians that are influenced? Is it only you are scared that if you will be yoked? You know the influence person. Christian know the influence person. Can you not mix up and then be the influence? Can you not grow to become that Christian that wherever you enter, now they follow? So even if you are a feminist, you will be a Christian feminist, and you would be a shining light, a shining star, and you will even be the example that people will now follow. So why do we chicken out when we should be the influence? It's not only speaking in tongues and all of these things that are fruit of the Spirit. Influence, competence, excellence, right? Demanding change, advocating change, those are also gifts of the Spirit. So as Christians, we should not just be knee-praying Christians. We should also be spaces-occupying Christians as well. In the Acts of the Apostles, we saw that they were Christians. That was when the church was getting formed. But yet, they had to make a group specifically designed for widows that were being overlooked. So that means that even in Christianity, there are flaws, right? Because of our very human weakness, right? And there are groups that are set apart to advocate certain causes like gender equity, like looking after the poor, the widow, the sick, and all of these things that, come about as a result of human inadequacies. So instead of advocating the cancellation of feminism, we should be advocating for more Christians to be feminists, so that we can jointly achieve gender equity for Christian women and also for Christians across the world, right? Christian women who have been subjugated and subjected to various forms of injustices within the church and in society. Right? The Bible says, by this men shall know that ye are my disciples. So how will Christians occupy spaces when we often chicken out of places that we should be occupying? How will all men know that we are his disciples if we are too scared to identify with labels and reclaim hijacked spaces? How will we occupy till he comes if we are so quick to ostracize ourselves for fear of labels? A Christian should not be a feminist. Why? Why not? Why not? Why can we not have Christians who are feminists? How can we manifest the character of the kingdom if it is just by going to church and fasting and praying? The streets, the roads, the offices, the boardrooms, that is where real change happens. And that is where we need Christians. The song that we listen to that corrupt our mind, that is where we need Christians to sing gospel songs that are praising God and uplifting our spirits. It's not just by removing ourselves. Christians should not go there. Christians should not dance this. Christians should not. No, we should be occupying and overtaking spaces, because that is where real change happens. And I'm saying all of this to say that this attitude, if you have the attitude of constantly condemning and judging, ask yourself, what would Jesus do? Is it the same Jesus that allowed a sinful woman to wipe his feet with her hair? Is it the same Jesus that went into the house of tax collectors and sinners to eat and to dine? Is it the same Jesus that they brought the adulterous woman to him, and instead of condemning her, he defended her? However, Jesus did not dine and wine with sinners to remain there. He did, and he influenced them. They became his followers. He changed them. He showed them mercy. He taught them how it should be done. So he did not invite them into his life to become one of them. He went in there and let them become his followers. So as Christians, and I'm saying this to women especially, because we have been told that we cannot lead, women should not talk, women should not. It's there in the Bible, they quote it every time, but though all those things are interpreted differently, they have different unique interpretation now, especially how the Bible presents women. So, and that is what we should be doing, not castigating or removing ourselves. We can make change. As Christian women especially, we can make change. Our voices matter. So instead of castigating and tearing down something like feminism, which essentially advocates equity and fairness for women, please, we should be Christian feminists. Christians should take those spaces. Christians should occupy those spaces in politics, in leadership, in global room, the UN, this, where those policies are made that affect us as human beings. That is where we should be, because now Nigeria is happening to everybody. Children have been kidnapped. If we have Christian leaders, Christian politicians, those things will probably not be happening. So instead of tearing down and removing ourselves from things like, in this case, feminism, we should be Christian feminists. Yes, we should be Christian feminists. Yeah.